The stairs are over there, though. We went inside the hotel from the rear entrance and hid behind the corner that led to the lobby. This was my first time inside a love hotel, and it was a lot less gaudy than I expected. The name was false advertising. There were no fairies and no one was dancing. Maybe the quiet atmosphere was the selling point? But... just send someone back here! What? No, that's Shinjo! Quiet was ruined by the sound of a police officer screaming into his phone. He was either confused or just excited because he kept saying the same things over and over again. Something had happened after all. And something bad enough that he needed backup. This was my chance. If we could get to the scene before the place was overflowing with cops, we might be able to find an unexpected scoop. Yes, there's no doubt about it. I checked. But I can't decide that on my own. No, I told you that's not what's going on. Damn it. That cop was in the way. Whether we took the stairs or the elevator, we just needed to get through the lobby to get to them. Taku, let's go. Huh? Hurry! Wait. Serica took me by the arm as if we were a couple and entered the lobby without trying to hide at all. Hey, come on! She ignored me and walked straight for the stairs. Hey! The cop must have seen us because he yelled at us from behind. Shit. Probably hadn't seen our faces. Should we run? No, that would just make us look suspicious. I told you not to leave your rooms! Yes, no. Sorry, it's okay. Forget that! I need backup! He started to mumble into the phone. We crossed the lobby without looking back. Damn! Serica got the bold plans. Don't do anything too crazy. You were right. We were able to fool him. That scared me. That was a close call. My heart was pounding so loud that the noise was making me sick. Could he not tell that we were high school students? No. Even if he only saw us from behind, he'd be able to tell by our uniforms. Why didn't he arrest us? Maybe he was panicking so much that the thought never occurred to him. Okay, what's the next step? Serica let go of my arm and turned toward me. That's right. Now is the time for thinking about other things. We don't know whether or not that room on the 3rd floor is what we're after, but we should start there. If that doesn't work, we try other places. Once the police backup arrives, we leave. But from the way that officer was acting, something was definitely up. We need to get photos before we go. Okay. It was quiet. The policeman's voice was still drifting up the stairs, but it only made the quiet seem more oppressive. Just like he'd said, the customers had probably been told not to leave their rooms. It was too late for it to matter now, but I was starting to feel a little scared. Come to think of it, if something had happened, maybe the killer was still here. Hey, Taku! You're fighting with Non again, aren't you? Serica's voice was relaxed. I was grateful. I'd take any opportunity to relieve this tension. It wasn't really a fight. No, maybe it was. But you're still coloring your cursor, right? I know how you feel, but isn't there something you can do? Until half a year ago, I'd called her Nono, her first name. After the incident that caused me to leave the dorm, I'd never call her that again. As long as I kept calling her Kurisu, she'd keep being mad at me. It must have been hurting some important part of her. Taku. Oh. The next thing I knew, we were on the 3rd floor. Sarika had gotten ahead of me at some point and was poking her head around the corner and into the hallway. Nobody's here, I think. Yes. Good. I took out my phone and got ready to record. As soon as I went into the 3rd floor hallway, I found myself holding my breath. My heart was pounding even louder than when the cop had yelled at us. I tried to control myself and looked down the corridor. The rooms must have been very big, because the gap between the doors was large. The floor was red, sinking into black as the hallway stretched away. I could hear the unpleasant sound of blowing air. They must have had the air conditioning on. There were no windows, and there wasn't a lot of light, so the hallway looked pretty creepy. But there was nothing out of the ordinary about it otherwise. But still, it was strange. The air felt solid. It felt like someone would jump out from the shadows the second that you let your guard down. Or perhaps there were traps scattered everywhere along the floor. For a second, the floor seemed to be stained with blood, but I shook that image out of my mind. What was this? It was like a fear that you feel in the darkness at night. Was it just because there was so little light? No, it was worse than that. It felt like someone was watching me and enjoying my unease. It was like they were peering deep into my heart. Taku? Taku? I almost jumped off the ground with a start. Huh? What's wrong? Don't just talk to me like that. You scared the hell out of me. It's nothing. Hey, isn't this kind of weird? I gestured with my head down the hallway. Sarika looked past me into the darkness. Well, it's creepy because it's so dim. But isn't that just to set the mood? Was it? Was that all? Was I being too sensitive? I tried flipping the light on the wall next to me, but nothing happened. Maybe the bulbs were burnt out, or maybe it wasn't the switch for this hallway at all. Damn it. It wasn't 1407 or something. I have to know. One moment. An American horror movie about a hotel room where all its occupants commit suicide, based on the works by the master of modern horror, Stephen Queen. Okay, it's a Stephen King thing. Gotcha. The only film relating to a Stephen King book I can find from 2007 is The Mist, which I'm not familiar with. Oh no, wait, 1408. All I need to do is scroll down a bit further. I'm not familiar with that one, but that's because I don't read real books. I read this shite. Which tells me that I should fucking read real books. Also, I feel like, why do they need to explain what an addict is? Like, if you're reading this and you don't know what an addict is, go outside a bit more. This wasn't 1407 or something. I turned around. The only person there was Sarika. No one else was looking at me. I took some time to make sure of it before I spoke. Let's go. Yeah. Sarika nodded cheerfully and stayed behind me as we walked deeper into the hallway. I remembered the location of the window I'd seen outside. It's probably deeper in the hall. The furthest one back, or the one before it. It's probably one of these two. I walked as silently as I could down the long hallway toward the last rooms on the left side. With every step I took, I could feel the sensation of the hallway floor through the bottom of my heels. It was like I was being forced to think about the nerves that I'd never used. My body felt very tense. I didn't see any cops in the hallway. Usually they'd have at least one person here at the scene. Was this the wrong floor? We reached the second to last door. Room 306. I listened carefully but didn't hear anything revealing. Just the quiet rumble of the air conditioner. Is there a peephole? Come on. This is a love hotel. Oh, right. Hey, what are you... I'm gonna take a save. Just in case. Because this feels like bad times. Well, I mean, we're probably gonna find a murder victim. It's just like good on one side, really bad on the other. Probably neutral. Now's probably a bad time to stay neutral, but I'm gonna fucking do it. Knocking. You can't. What if someone really answered the door? Wait! There was a loud sound. I quickly glanced around to see if anyone heard what Serica did. It's not opening. Maybe I should have borrowed the key. Not to break your illusion, but I had to come back to record this after taking 2 weeks off because I couldn't talk. So if anything looks or sounds slightly different, I apologize. There was no answer from inside. No one was there, probably. Taku? What's wrong? No, never mind. Damn it. Felt kind of ridiculous for me to be so serious. The police aren't here either. Maybe it's not this floor. Maybe it is. Maybe someone's inside trying to break out right now. I flinched back at the sudden noise. What? Was that the sound of breaking glass? It was from the next room over, right? She was clinging to my back in surprise with her hands on my shoulders. I think so. It came from further down, right? Serica pointed to the next room. We stood there for a moment. The violent sound must have scared her because Serica's easygoing mood had totally vanished. But we waited a while, and nothing more happened. There were no voices or sounds of a struggle. The hallway was the same as ever. But was I imagining it, or was the hall a little darker than before? Should we go back? Serica didn't answer my question. I swear the love of Christ, Takaru, if you fuck off now, I'm not gonna be impressed. I'm gonna cancel the series right now. She didn't seem afraid, but she had a serious look on her face as she stared down the hallway. Maybe something had happened and the killer was still there? No, wait. I needed to think about this rationally. Dude, we haven't even found the body yet. We don't even know if there's a killer. Reel it back. I mean, I know I'm probably going to open this door and find something horrific, but that's by the by. Bearing in mind, I chose not to fucking be delusional this time. When it matters, you need to look at what's in front of you. Every other time, who gives a fuck what you think? Opinion me. There was an officer on the first floor who'd called for backup. Usually when a call came in, the police never came there alone. There was always more than one. I found that out for myself during my reporting, so I was sure of it. So there had to be another officer at the scene. The killer couldn't just be hiding there. Unless the killer is the police! Sometimes you gotta make logical jumps like this in order to actually fucking get anywhere. It's the problem when I start predicting things in VNs and I was like, oh wait, shit, I thought too far into that, and it turns out I was right. I'd like to give you an example, but off the top of my head, I couldn't think of one. Also, please ignore the slamming door in the background. If there was any chance of that, the cop wouldn't have just told us to go back to our rooms. Did the killer break the glass during a struggle? No, that didn't make sense either. If there was any chance of them being able to do that, would that officer have gone downstairs? He probably had gone down there to tell the front desk not to let anyone else in. Damn it. I had no proof. But it should be okay. More than anything, I hadn't taken any photos yet. I jumped literally when I heard the sudden sound. It was a very strange sound, one that didn't belong here at all. It was the sign of Gero Froggy being choked to death. I looked and saw that Serica had gotten so nervous she'd taken out her Gero Froggy Geraro strap and started playing with it. She probably didn't even know she was doing it. I softly poked her with my elbow. I motioned for her to keep quiet, and she seemed confused, but then she realized what she was doing and quickly put the strap back in her pocket. As soon as she was done, I looked down the hall once more. All the way to the front of the room. We should head there. I tried to steel myself, then checked over my shoulder once more to make sure that no one was there. I started to walk forward, very carefully. I was afraid of even making the slightest sound. Serica followed me wordlessly, with a hand on my shoulder. I grabbed her hand with my free hand. The other was holding my smartphone. She squeezed it tight. The feeling of her fingers kept me strong as I walked forward. Hope you like heavy breathing. The next room. Room 305. The room at the far end of the hallway. Just like room 306, it had a plain old door, but it felt like it was exuding an intense pressure. This is where it came from, right? She was asking about the sound. I think so. I answered, despite not having any proof at all. We waited, but still heard nothing. I looked around once more to make sure no one was there, then put my ear up against the door. And then... I heard a small sound. It was the sound that I'd heard outside. The sound from the windows, like a music box playing. It was relaxed and peaceful, even if we weren't, and played the same tune over and over. This is the room. The one with the open windows. Serica was looking at me. Will it open? No, that's... I hesitated, but she put her hand on the doorknob. Nope. She seemed relieved, but a little upset. I knew exactly how she felt. I felt the same way. I moved away from the door. I would have liked to take some photos before I left, but... Huh? Did you just hear the sound of a lock? Yeah. That was what it sounded like. We were too confused to move. There was no sign of anyone coming out. I slowly touched the doorknob. It turned. The door was unlocked. How? As if guided by all the strange things that were happening, I pushed the record button on my smartphone. Good man, although I don't know what year it is, I'm slightly disappointed that you can only record in 720. I gripped the doorknob tighter. A voice in my mind told me to stop, to go back, but it was wiped out by the sound of the smartphone recording starting and the door slowly opening. The more it opened, the less I was able to ignore my curiosity. It felt like something besides Serica was pushing me forward as I opened the door. That song was playing in the dimly lit room. All the lights were off, but the sun was out streaming through the open window. Its light was very weak. Why's it got Victorian curtains? What the hell? The curtain in front of me, which partitioned off part of the room, was blocking the light. I gulped and realized my lips were dry. Good point. Remember to hydrate, people. I ran my tongue over them and wet them a little, and then I realized my heart was pounding. The sound was so loud I thought my heart might have somehow moved up into my ears. It seemed to be beating out some bizarre rhythm, and it was making me sick. I forced myself to swallow my saliva and hoped it would keep me from throwing up. Then I took a slow step forward. Dude, I'll be real honest, they're like nailing the creepy atmosphere. I held up my phone to record what I was seeing, and then I realized something. That curtain wasn't partitioning the room. It was a bed. There was a raised spot off the floor with a circular bed surrounded by a curtain. Oh my. This is a love hotel after all, I do believe, so it makes sense that they've got the kinky beds. Yes, that's all it takes for it to be kinky. It has a curtain. The light was streaming out from behind it. The windows we'd seen were on the other side of it. What, behind the bed? This room is for exhibitionists, isn't it? And the song seemed to be coming from there as well. Crap, it was too dark. I went to flip the nearby light switch, then forced myself to stop. No. I couldn't touch anything in the room. Some kind of crime must have taken place here. But I was scared to go any deeper into the darkness. My shoes made my steps loud against the floor. There was no response. Only the relaxed melody. I gave a signal to Serica, who was still behind me, and went deeper into the room. What? For a moment, I thought I heard the sound of creaking metal. Creaking metal? Jesus Christ. It felt like I was hearing it between the gaps in the music box's melody. But there was no change that I could see. No one jumped out. Nothing was moving. There was just the sound of the music box. I looked from one part of the room to another to make sure nothing was amiss. Would you know if it was? And then I slowly moved forward. Well, we found a victim. I always forget which of these keys hides the fucking text. Ah, here we are. We found our dead person. Also, what the hell is the shadow in the window? Is that the curtain? Or is that someone in a long coat standing there? I don't know these days. I'm forever concerned. Someone was lying on the floor. Huh? When my eyes adjusted to the gloom, I saw... There's our actual body. This was the decoy body. How could I not miss that fact? Also, like, why does it look like he broke through the glass? It doesn't matter. It's a dead police officer. And a woman? The officer was lying against the bathroom with his legs splayed and his head drooping. The girl was lying on the floor face down. They showed no signs of noticing us. No, that wasn't right. The glass behind them was shattered into 1,000 pieces. Crap. The second I understood what was going on, the hand holding the smartphone started to shake. Crap, crap, crap! I could see a little blood dripping off the police officer's head. I spun around as I heard the sound. On the bed? The warmth drained from my face in an instant. My whole body shivered. Someone was sitting on the bed. I staggered back and slammed into Serica. Let's get out of here. Now! But I couldn't move. My hand was frozen as it pointed the smartphone towards whoever was behind the curtain, and it wasn't doing what I told it. Damn it! I took a step back, tripped, and fell to the floor. Are you doing alright, dude? My lungs weren't working right. The silhouette moved a little, and I flinched. No, it didn't move. The bed was rotating. Whoever was behind the curtains showed no signs of noticing us. They didn't budge an inch. What the hell is going on here? Taco, the door won't open! Excuse me? Serica's voice sounded like it was far away. I ran back to the entrance and slammed myself into the door. It wasn't opening. It wasn't opening! Why won't it open? I don't know! Serica yelled back at me. Why? Why? Serica screamed as she slammed against the door. Wait, are we both on the same side? I assume we are. I helped her try to batter it down. But it didn't work. It's like trying to batter down a wall. Oh, don't you fucking start with that! I don't like that one bit. Suddenly I heard a knock at the door. I reflexively jumped away without thinking. That 4 fucking knocks. It was coming from this door. The knocking was rhythmic and constant. What? It was just a knock at the door. My whole body started to shake. Someone was on the other side of the door. Someone was knocking. Definitely wasn't the police. Yeah, they wouldn't knock. They just break in and shoot me. I felt as if my sanity was boiling away, melting from the soles of my feet on upward. No. No. Don't open the door. Right. Go at the back. Let's use the window. Curtains open. I'm no expert, but curtains open. I grabbed Serica's hand and ran back to the room. And fell silent at what I saw. Yeah, sounds about right. Alright, well. If this video had any chance of being monetized, it's probably going to leave now. It's a joke. I can't demonetize these for the life of me. You think I can with my language? What was that? The curtain was open. That is a man strapped to the bed via his neck with a rope? I think. He's probably going to tell me. There was a man there, sitting. No. He was moving slowly. The bed was moving in time to the sound of the music box. Oh god! I've just realized, is this like some kind of horrific saw trap where the bed spins and you suffocate? Or you get strangled by the rope? Oh, that's grim. I love it. This is when you don't fucking hallucinate. An eerie sound came from the wire wrapped around his neck. Yeah, that's a good reaction. The wire was hanging down from the ceiling, choking him. His face was all puffed up, in a colour I'd never seen before. His pants were wet, and the stain extended to the bed itself. The smell of piss and shit hung in my nose. He wasn't alive. He was dead. What the hell is this? Why was he dead? Did he suffocate? Why was the curtain open? What the hell was he doing? Why was he dead? My right hand moved without me realizing it. Huh? I needed to use the window to escape. But I pointed my phone's camera at the body instead. Taku! We need to get out of here! The body spun, slowly. Each time it went around, the wire made an awful sound and dug deeper into his neck. It dug in so deep that now the man's neck was the size of my wrist. The skin must have broken, because it was bleeding a little. Taku! What am I doing? Serica was right next to me, but her voice sounded far away, like she was talking through a telephone. I needed to get out of here, but I couldn't stop the filming. Why was I doing this? Why was he dead? The wire dug deeper and deeper into his neck without waiting for me to come up with an answer. The body turned away from me. I could see the back of his neck. The flesh around the wire was swollen, red and black. I heard a muffled sound, like something hard snapping inside of a bag. Oh, that's his neck giving out. The head slumped just a little. That's not what slumping is. His neck had just broken. That must have been the sound of neck breaking. Taku! Let's get out of here! I could hear Serica's voice. Get out of here? Get out of here. That's right. I need to get out of here. Oh, for the love of fuck, you're still here! My body moved as I heard another sound. I spun around. Hi! How you doing with your bloody tears? Yeah, that's an apt reaction. I screamed. And then I heard something from behind me. That is not a good noise. I don't know what I did. But the next thing I knew, my whole field of vision had turned red. Then I felt something like a ball hit me. Oh, okay, please. Please, Serica, you've punched me to come to my senses. Before I could understand what it was, everything faded to black. September 30th, 2015. Wednesday. midnight. Hello, man.
新庄さん、所持品と防犯カメラの映像から親族に裏取れました。
Shinjo, we managed to ID the victim from his possessions and the security cameras.
死亡したのは柿田博則、22歳。
His name is Hironori
更新でマーケティングのアルバイトをしていたようです。
22 years old. A Shibuya resident with a part-time marketing job at Koshin.
更新でバイト?
Part-timer at Koshin? Any lovers?
いません。
None. No roommates either. He lived alone, it seemed. Shit. Shinjo cursed. If he was single and not in a relationship, it would take time to figure out his private life. And Koshin was one of the companies that profited the most from the recovery projects in recent years. Part-timer or not, if he worked there, he was probably pretty busy. It's possible that his co-workers knew just his name and nothing else about who he was outside of work. Like me and my work. Shinjo, what do we tell the media? Kayomi TV and Nikonia's net reporters are refusing to leave. Those two kids we found at the scene, who say they're with the Heiko newspaper club, they've calmed down, but they're not making a lot of sense. That other girl doesn't have anything that would tell us who she is. We're checking if she's a friend or relative of Kakita's, but no luck yet. She's refusing to say anything. Also, forensics want to know. Hey, you can't just... Fucking press. They're all parasites, aren't they? This is Watabe from Nikonia News. Excuse me, what's going on here? Get out! You can't come in here without permission. Just a brief comment. A brief comment is all I need. What the hell is this voice? Why am I old-timey news reporter for Nikonia? Coming at you live with the 9 o'clock news. Shinjo's men physically dragged the reporter out of the room. He had to stop himself from putting his hands into his head and moaning. Dude, I wouldn't. I'd do it. He couldn't let his men see him acting weak. Shinjo had been with Police HQ Section 1 for less than 7 years. You make that sound like a short time. He didn't get along with his superiors, but he managed to beg his way into being in charge of this case. Maybe this was his way of avenging the death of an older detective who he'd admired. Once you're done with the window frame, make sure it can't be seen from the outside. There's no telling what those net reporters will do. Yes, sir. I'll talk to forensics myself. Oh, put some more manpower into checking his connections at work. I'll tell the bosses. Yes, sir.
例の子たちは
So what about the kids?
それも俺が持つ。じゃ、
I'll handle them too. Get to it.
はい
Yes, sir. His men raced out of the room. They never had a case like this before, and they were probably pretty excited. So was Shinjo, to be honest. The whole thing was such a mess that he didn't even know where to begin. But his detective instincts were screaming at him to start doing the work he needed to find the killer.
よし。
Okay.
Hello, this is Trustworthiness Investigation Company, Frieza.
Wait, Frieza? The Dragon Ball guy? His call was answered on the first ring, like always.
俺です。
It's me. It's me.
Oh, Shinjo, you're late. I thought you'd be contacting me earlier.
あ、すいません。
I'm sorry. Shinjo apologized without thinking, and for no clear reason. He always felt like a naughty child when he spoke to this CEO, who happened to be a woman.
現場の面倒をちゃんと見てるから苦労すんのよ。少しはあの人みたい
You
に
know why you're so
波乱で
exhausted?
いきなさいな。
It's because you're taking this so seriously. You should relax a bit, like they did.
先輩の性格まで。
I've got no
見習うつもり
intention
は
of
ありませんよ
copying their habits.
真面目だわね。
You're so serious,
い
aren't
つまで
you?
も真面目が美徳だと思ってると痛い目見るわよ。
If you keep on thinking that's a virtue, you're gonna have a bad time of it one day.
百瀬さん。そんなことより
Momose,
相談したいことがある
there's
んです
something I wanted to talk to you about. Shinjo cut her off before she could continue her lecture and gave her a brief description of the scene. This was a violation of the rules, but the only way to solve a crazy case was to be a little crazy yourself. That was the first thing he'd learned from that older detective. I'm guessing this is his own sort of form of Chaos Child Syndrome. You know, probably a detective he admired died back in the Shibuya earthquake. And now here we are, trying to be like him.
それって殺人なの？自殺なの？
Oh, we've got her full name. We only got her Momose, but now her first name is Katsuko.
So is it a murder or suicide?
Momose asked her a question after he described the situation. She cut to the heart of the problem.
現状ではそれがわからないんで
We're
す。
not sure right now. The hotel had gone suspicious when Kakita had never come down after checkout time. And more than 10 calls to the room went unanswered. They contacted the police. 2 officers as well as someone from the hotel had gone up to the room and found the body in an unconscious girl. One officer stayed at the scene to keep it secure, and the others searched the hotel to make sure it was safe. That's probably the one we saw downstairs. During this search, he'd forgotten to lock the employee entrance in the back near the stairs. That was how the 2 students from Hehiko had gotten in. Shortly after he'd left the room, the girl woke up and started strangling the officer who'd stayed. He'd hit his head out on the edge of the glass window and knocked himself out. He was going to be fine, but he'd been out cold until backup arrived. When the backup got there, they found the girl unconscious on the floor. A boy from Hekiho... Yeah, it is Hekiho. Hekiho was passed out on the floor too. The other girl from Hekiho was throwing up, also on the floor. Kakita's cause of death was asphyxia via strangulation. I've never seen strangulation written out before, and I looked at it and I'm like, that just looks wrong. The wire around his neck was kind of used at construction sites. It had been hung in an X pattern from the lights on the ceiling. And he'd been sitting on the bed as it rotated. That's why there was so much pressure on his neck that finally his head had been Oh! Oh, shit! I didn't think it came all the way off. Oh, shit, no, that's not what hit me in the back, was it? Head came off and just, like, smacked me in the back. And I'm just like, Oh. Oh, I got hit in the spleen by a fucking popped off head. This game's pretty fucking metal, isn't it? From the estimated time of death, Kakita had passed away before the police had even been contacted. The body on the bed kept spinning time to the music, one rotation every 2 minutes. In the end, the man's head had been cut off completely. The problem was the girl in the room. There was no indication that she'd ever touched Kakita. There were no fingerprints or any other signs that she touched Kakita's body, the bed, or the wire. The only things they found under her fingernails was skin and blood of the officer she'd strangled. In fact, there was no indication that she'd touched much of anything in the room. Everything they found belonged to Kakita. And according to the officer she'd strangled, when she attacked him, she'd clearly been in an unstable psychological state. Her eyes were bloodshot and out of focus. Also, you know, look like she's bleeding out the eyes. It's a pretty fucking big issue.
So what are you trying to say here? The girl just watched Kakita die without touching anything in the room and then started strangling a police officer while temporarily insane?
I mean, I hate to say yes, but yes. Shinjo scratched his head as he heard her sum up the situation. That was what it looked like, at least from what they knew. And going by that, it sure looked like a suicide. But it was all far too strange.
I see. This is a bit of a problem. What about those kids from Hekiho that got inside the room?
Seems like it was pretty traumatic for them, so at first they wouldn't say anything. But now they're starting to talk. But they're from Hekiho, and that place has some issues. He checked with the school and verified they were part of the school's newspaper club. The security camera at the rear entrance had seen them coming in, which matched their witness testimony. He didn't know what to make of their testimony that the door had opened on its own, or that someone else had tried to come into the room. The door was equipped with an automatic lock, and the only person inside the room who could have opened it was the girl. But there were no sign of her fingerprints on the door. And the security camera in the hallway showed no signs of anyone else trying to get in. In any event, it was extremely rare for a civilian to see a dead body outside of a funeral. And in an unstable mental state, it was extremely easy to imagine things or just outright be mistaken about what was going on. If they turned out not to have any relationship to Kakita or the girl, he planned on letting them off with a stern warning. Our biggest lead is the girl who was in the room, but she's not talking. Oh good, another fucking mute.
She's probably gonna go be put on the psychiatric hold at this rate, isn't she?
Yeah, but that will slowly go down the investigation a lot. No. Yeah, but that'll slow down the investigation a lot, so I'd rather not go that route.
Got it. Let me get some information spread around. Given your position, this is probably going to be pretty rough for you. So be ready, okay? I'll call back in 3 minutes.
Okay. Thanks. I appreciate it. Shinjo went to hang up the phone.
Oh, wait.
Yeah?
Actually, I want you to do something for me. I'm sure it'll be a big help for you, too. Can you do it?
So it was basically an order then, Shinjo thought to himself. What is it?
One of my kids knows more about this than I do. They say they want to see the crime scene personally. Can you help them out?
You want me to let an outsider into a crime scene?
It's always outsiders who'll give you the hints you need to solve the case.
After all, I'm an outsider too, she continued. In his head, Shinjo went over the steps he'd have to take and the time required to take them.
明日、いや、明後日で構いませんか。
Can it be tomorrow? No, the day after.
さすが新庄ちゃん。
That's my Shinjo. Glad we could work this out. I don't know how you managed around the rest of those hard-headed Section 1.
では、よろしくお願いします。
Alright, talk to you later.
あ、ちょっと新庄ちゃん。
Hold on a second, Shinjo, would you?
He barely stopped himself from ending the call.
まだ何か。
Is there something else?
念のためアドバイスをしとこう
I
と思う。
wanted to give you some advice, just in case. Two things.
言っておくけど、さっ
First,
きのは冗談じゃないのよ
what。I said before wasn't a joke, okay?
は？
Huh?
チャランポランで行き
You
なさい
need
って
to
いうや
relax
つ
a
よ。
little. Don't take everything so seriously.
これから間違い
I'm
なく
sure a
新
lot
庄
of
ちゃんの
things
理
are
解の
about to
外にある
happen
事件
that
が
will
続くわ
be
よ。
way beyond your understanding.
一番邪魔
When
にな
that
るのは
happens,
常
your
識だ。
worst enemy is what you think you know.
肝に銘じます。
I'll make sure to remember that.
そこで真面目に返事しているようではまだまだね。
If that was a serious answer, you've still got a long way to go.
もう一つはね、
And the other thing is...
Momose paused for a second and chuckled.
うちの子に取って食われないようにね。
Don't let the kid get my better with you
新
too
庄ちゃん
often.
が部外者にな
If
り
you
か
let
け
your
ないわ
guard down,
よ。
you'll end up an outsider yourself.